13 seconds. It will be forever known, forever remembered in the NFL. And of course, this week we get the rematch, week 6, the 2022 NFL season, the Chiefs and the Bills. Probably won't be remembered as much as 13 seconds, but it could have a huge impact on how this season ends. Look, the Bills are 4-1, the Chiefs are 4-1. Whoever wins this game is going to be one game up on the other with a key tiebreaker. When you look at both teams' schedules, there's not going to be many games that either is the underdog in going forward. In fact, you could argue neither one is going to be an underdog the entire rest of the season. That's how great these teams are. That's how head and shoulders above they are, at least in the AFC, if not in the entire NFL. Last year, though, if we go back a second, we go back 13 seconds, the Chiefs won an AFC divisional game at Arrowhead that you could argue is the greatest game ever played. You could certainly argue it's the best quarterback game of all time. I don't even know that you could argue that it isn't. The Chiefs won 42-36. And if you need a refresher on the box score that night, Josh Allen went 27 of 37 for 329 yards and 4 touchdowns. He ran for 68 yards to lead his team. Patrick Mahomes went 33 of 44 for 378 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he also led his team in rushing that night with 69 yards and a touchdown. Josh Allen's QBR that night, 92.1 on a scale of 1 to 100. Patrick Mahomes, 96.9. It was a game that is largely remembered for the ending, for the frantic last 2 minutes, and then in overtime, where it was one big haymaker after the next. And understandably so. It's one of the great endings ever. But it's the game, the full 60 minutes, plus the overtime drive. That's what endures. There were no turnovers. There were no bad throws. There were no big leads that evaporated because of poor play. It was just a great, tightly contested game all the way. In fact, there was only a 2-possession game for one play until Gabe Davis hauled in a 75-yard touchdown pass, beating Juan Thornhill. This game is not that game. This game will be built up like it's a Super Bowl in October. In reality, it's really more of a battle for who's going to host when they rematch in January. It feels impossible that these teams won't see each other in the playoffs for the third straight time. Maybe it's in the AFC Championship game. Maybe it's in the divisional round. But it feels inevitable, does it not? It feels like these two teams are almost division rivals at this point because they see each other twice a year every year. And oh, by the way, next year, they're scheduled to play each other again in the regular season as the two divisions will square off. They'll see each other again at Arrowhead, much, I'm sure, to the Bills' dismay. But if the Bills don't want to make another trip to Arrowhead, they better win this game. Yes, it's a long season ahead. After this game, each team has 11 games, and guys get hurt, teams have slumps. All those things are true. But what's also true is you're watching the two best quarterbacks in football on these two teams. You're watching really upper echelon coaching staffs. You're watching teams that can score 30 points without blinking an eye. And most teams that they play, even if the Chiefs and the Bills come with a B game that week, they're still probably going to find a way to win. They're just going to overwhelm their opponents. And so if you lose this game, if you're the Chiefs or the Bills, you might literally have to win out to get to the 1 seed. Maybe you can lose one more game. As great as you are, that's tough sledding. That's not going to be easy. Look, this is the budding rivalry of the NFL right now. This is Brady and Manning. Okay. This is Indy and New England. And right now, to a lesser extent, because the Chiefs don't have 3 Super Bowl titles, the Chiefs are playing the role of New England. They are the gallant champion. They've won a Super Bowl. They've been to 2. They have won every game there is, and they've beaten the Bills twice in the playoffs when it really counts. And for the Bills, they are currently playing the role of Indianapolis, the unbelievably talented quarterback, the guy that everybody wants to watch every week. Of course, Brady wasn't too bad, and neither is Mahomes. But everybody always kept waiting for the Colts to finally break through. And eventually, 2006, they did exactly that. They were able to finally win that Super Bowl. They got the proverbial monkey off the back. The Bills are still waiting to do that. The Bills have gone to Arrowhead twice, and they've gotten shellacked twice. And by the way, the Colts didn't break through until they got that home field advantage for the AFC Championship game. Ironically, they were a 3 seed that year. New England just happened to be a 4. But they played that game at home. When they had gone up to Foxborough, they had gotten beaten both times. Buffalo needs to get this game at home. Not to say they can't win at Arrowhead. They should have won last year if not for those pesky 13 seconds. But if you're Buffalo, you have such an advantage at home with that crowd, knowing you are going for your first Super Bowl title ever. If you've got to go back to Arrowhead, it just feels like more of the same. It feels harder. And one thing to note in this game, even if the Bills win, if they win by a point, if they win by 30, it doesn't prove anything. Everybody knows the Bills are on the Chiefs level. The Chiefs are on the Bills level. Those two teams share a level that is to themselves. Buffalo won last year 38-20 in week 5. Nobody remembers it. Nobody cares because it was erased in January. For the Bills to finally get over the hump, that can't happen in week 6. That has to happen in January. But to have a better chance in January, they have to win this week, or at least it would certainly help them to win this week. A final note on this game. This is the first time in Patrick Mahomes' illustrious career, but young career, he is a home underdog. The Bills in most books are laying 3 points. That is a big number for Kansas City to be getting, considering how good the Chiefs have been when Mahomes has been an underdog on the road. It's happened 8 times in his career, only 8 times. He is 6-2 straight up in those games, and he has never failed to cover the point spread, only pushing once. If you're the Chiefs and you're a believer in history, you're feeling pretty good about the fact that people are doubting you and doubting Patrick Mahomes going to this game. The Bills are a really good team, and there's a great case to be made. They're the best team in the league right now. But the Chiefs are pretty damn good themselves. And in Arrowhead, they're very, very hard to beat. The Bills did it last year. The Chiefs were a wreck when they came in, and the Bills handled business, forced 4 turnovers. Can they do it again? And this time, if the Bills do it, can they earn home field advantage and not have the pratfalls that they had last year against teams like Jacksonville? We're going to find out on Sunday afternoon. We're going to see the game along with millions and millions of others in what is probably going to be the highest rated regular season game in at least a decade. It is the Bills. It is the Chiefs. It is week 6. It is a rematch of 13 seconds. And for the Bills, it means getting the next one in Buffalo. And for the Chiefs, it means keeping it right where it always seems to be at Arrowhead Stadium.